Welcome to the next episode, Brandmind's podcast. This time I would like to talk about myself and my journey with Brandmind. And the reason for this is I would like to inspire others, to inspire entrepreneurs and people who would like to step out of their comfort zone, but are not brave enough. I would like to start and explain why I founded Brandmind. There was a reason. Back then, I was the head of marketing in corporate world here in Switzerland. And I realized back then as a head of marketing that I had some challenges and I couldn't move forward on the one hand. But on the other hand, there was a challenge with a teammate. And she had difficulties with me. I had difficulties with her. And I knew it was on me. And we did a team event or team development event with HR together. And we found out that people communicate differently. They communicate differently in stress. They communicate differently in general as a person. And when you would like to have a great time with people, you need to adapt, especially in a working environment. So, and it was on me as the head of marketing to take that responsibility and to be able to talk on different levels with my team members. So, and this brought me to an idea and said, okay, if this is working on a very small level, we can use this on a bigger level for marketing as well. And thirdly, I was doing further educations in psychology and brain research and things like this. And then I knew we needed, then was a model needed in the market and nothing was around. The other reason why I started Brandmind was that I always had the desire to start something on my own, but I was not brave enough. And I didn't have the idea, to be honest. And when I was in the corporate world, many people think that this is the goal to achieve, to work in the corporate world because it's safe and you have your income and you can make a great career. And this is what people see from the outside world. And this was also my thinking. Right. And I had to realize that this world was not for me. Not that I didn't like to work with my team. I loved my team. But the higher you get in the hierarchy, the more difficult it gets when it comes to values and to stand to your own values because, people don't count that much anymore. So very high level management, there's all about, ego driven interests and trying to get higher in the hierarchy, and people don't count. So if it is good for your CV to fire people, then you will do this. So, and people don't count, there's no value around. And to summarize all of these points, this brought me to the decision to quit without having anything else. So I knew this was the perfect time to start something on my own. I kind of had the idea, okay, the market needs something because the communication is always one-sided. And on the other hand, I knew I needed to evolve. I want to do things on my own and thrive. And so that's why I started Brandmind. And then because I didn't have a model, right? So I knew theoretically we need something. But when I started and I saw what's on the market was kind of overwhelming because there were so many models out there and so many approaches that I all explained in the previous videos, or I will explain in the next videos, or whatever video you will see, I will explain it. And and I knew we needed to develop something new. And I also knew this will take time. Okay, so to have something solid, this will take time. And in between, I need to make money. I need to survive. I didn't have an option B. So many people go and find an option B. I want to found a startup, but I'm working 80%. No, this is not going to work. Depending on the goals that you have, you cannot work at 80% and start a startup. This is not going to work. So I knew that I needed to put everything from me inside of this. So, and I was starting a battle for many, many years to survive, to really survive. And until we have that model. And until then, I was in a kind of environment, my old environment, that first of all was not the right environment to help me out to get to the next step in the market for different reasons. And on the other hand, they were critical. Always saying to myself, does this work? You know, you have a hypothesis, but you cannot go out and just sell it. I mean, you haven't proved it. You don't have a proof. So what happened with this is they lowered, or I allowed it. I allowed them to lower my self-worth by hearing that all the time. On the other side, struggling and being in the middle of a battle to get to a potential next project without having anything in my hands, right? I went out as I sold something without having anything, just my knowledge. But I continued to believe that it's still not good enough, right? Not solid enough to sell. So what happened then additionally was that I was in the Swiss market. I'm half German, half Greek. I was not born here. So my basic friends, family, and people are in Germany or in Greece, are not here. So, but the culture here is how you make business is because you know people, right? And I knew people, but the wrong ones. So, and this was a problem, right? And when I started out, I tried to build that network. What I needed to do was hardcore cold acquisition. It was not, I know this guy or that guy. And what happened was, again, a loss aversion aspect of people. When I knew people who could help me, they thought, well, if I will recommend her and it's not turning out good, it falls back on me. So I'm going to do exactly nothing. So, and at the end, I was kind of fighter on my own, trying to survive. And another point was that the culture in Switzerland is not in terms of innovation. I'm not talking about ETH spin-offs or pharma, where innovation is daily life and all investors are there. And with an idea and 3 people, you get investments and you go. I'm not talking about this. I'm talking about someone who tries to build something from scratch, having nobody around. And the culture in Switzerland, I think it's in Europe, but in Switzerland, it's even more intense. It's very conservative. So companies think that if not someone else has done it first, I won't do it. So, and that's difficult. So if you invent something new, and how can you move forward if there's no one to say, okay, I believe in it. Let's try it out. You don't need to pay me the normal or standard price. I will give you a discount, and then off we go. So it took me 2 years to get a bigger first client. Of course, we had some small clients, but to go outside and say, okay, we created an impact. We have now KPIs. It took me 2 years to get to a first bigger client where we could prove that we can create an impact. And these were the first ones who really were trusting me. I found out afterwards that they trusted me, right? Because I'm the founder and CEO. and they are buying from me, and they don't care who's working else in my company. They buy from me. So, and based on all of these aspects, it was pretty hard. So, and you can imagine there were months, a lot of months, no income, nothing. So I decided I need to change the country because maybe somewhere else we are more successful. For example, like the US. And it turned out in 2019, I had the opportunity to go to Silicon Valley for 2 or 3 weeks to understand how things work there. Because back then I decided, okay, with Brandmind, we are an analytics and consultancy, but we are going into tech. And we want to combine psychology and AI in the future. So I went to Silicon Valley and to understand startup business, actually, and the technology and what do I need to take into account as an entrepreneur, talking to investors, improving my pitch, things like this. So, and I learned a lot. And I thought, okay, we need to relocate here. So I need to go to the US. And that was the plan. So I went again to Silicon Valley, went to a lawyer, and we set up everything that for New York, not Silicon Valley, because the taxes were too high there and might be still. So based on the key customers, let's go to New York. So we set up everything. And a few months later, we got the opportunity from Shop Talk. Shop Talk is one of the biggest retail conferences in the US, held in Las Vegas. And we participated with our idea where we want to go in terms of technology. And we were selected as one startup out of the most innovative startups of hundreds worldwide to go there and pitch in front of 10,000 people. So, and the rehearsal was in New York. And so it kind of went all together. And I thought, great. So I'm going to New York and do the rehearsal and finally found the company. We found their co-working space. We had an address, everything. It was everything set up. And then COVID came. And everything kind of stopped immediately. Everything was, I could see it like in front of me, where all the cards were falling apart. And all events were canceled. Everything was canceled. The Shop Talk event at Las Vegas was canceled. Everything. Yes. And then I needed to go back. And this is the first story of how I started Brandmind. And the second half of the story, I will let you know then in the next episode next week.